Hi everyone, this is Marcia from Our Vintage Store. I'm bringing you a slightly different video today than the ones I've put out in the past. If any of you have watched my videos, you may recognize these components. They were pieces that I pulled out of a jewelry jar, and it was one that I said I liked and would probably fix. Well, if you can see, the second hand is moving. So I put a battery in it and it is working, so I have decided to go ahead and put it back together. All of the pieces, like I say, these separate components seem to be here for me to work with. So I did try to figure out how could I do this without making it a stretch bracelet again. But for it to come out, I guess, in a seamless design and have it be the right size, I think I will have to go with the stretch. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to clean it up and put it back together with a stretch cord. So hopefully it will be sturdy enough to hold up to, I guess, everyday wear, if you so choose to wear it every day. But anyway, so this is the intro to what will be. After I have put it all back together, I'll do the part 2 of this and show you what it looks like in the end. And if you also recall, there is a right there. It's a stone missing, and I do have another piece that was broken that has this color stones in it. So if I can harvest one of those and put that in there, I will do that as well. So let me get working on it, and I will see you on part 2 of this. Okay, everyone, this is show and tell time. This is the first of 2 watches by Kim Rogers that I found in 2 separate jewelry jars. They were in need of repair, and I did that. This was the first one that had the separate components. It's on an elastic, the stretch elastic. First thing I did was test it to make sure it was working, and I showed you that it was. I did put it back together, and this is what I used. It is Stretch Magic, and I used the 1 millimeter. That's the thickness of the elastic. This is pretty heavy, so I didn't think the 0.5 millimeter, unless I doubled up on it, would be strong enough. So was no sense doubling up on that when I did have the 1 millimeter. What I did is I used a piece, started with the face of the watch. If I can put this inside out, you can see better what I did. I ran it through sort of like this, and had pretty much 2 equal sides. I don't know if you're catching this. I hope you can see this stretch cord on camera. And then I threaded the sliders through until I got to the other side. And then I pulled it through on both sides, you know, looped the 2 ends up through here. And then I took it over to one side and knotted it. I put about 3 or 4 knots. Let me see if I can find. This is the end. This is about 3 or 4 knots in here. Excuse me. And once I knotted that, This is this 1 mil is pretty pretty strong. It stays taut, so I'm hoping that with wear it does relax a little bit, because I made it a little extra tight. But anyway, after I knotted it, really, you do not need to use this, but just as a safeguard, I did put a couple dabs of glue on it, and I used the GS Hypo Cement. This is what I use for most of this type of work, putting in the stones and such. And speaking of stones, this was missing one, and I had another broken piece that had this color stone in it, and I did take one of the stones out of that piece and was going to put it in here. The stone's missing right there, but it was just a little too big, and it just did not look right. So I have the band back on, but I do not have the stone back in. So that will be something I'll keep an eye out for, and if I find something else that has this color stone, I will try to harvest it. But in the meantime, it's a working watch, so that one turned out pretty good, I think. It's wearable. I don't think anyone would really notice that stone. They'd have to get really close and invade your space to see it, so I'm not worried about that. So anyway, that one is done, so I'm going to put this stuff aside and get the other one out that I repaired, and let you see what I did on that one as well. This is a Christmas watch. I did put a battery in it, and as you can see, it is working. So I am going to attempt to put this back together. I searched online and could not find this particular watch. I saw other Christmas watches by Kim Rogers, but not this one. So I don't know if it was originally a stretch band that held this together. If I recall, I guess I could look back on the video. It seemed like there was a piece of stretch cord somewhere in this mix. So, but I'm going to put my own spin on this. I'm going to attempt to put this back together in a different fashion and see how it turns out. Put a battery in it, cleaned it up, put a battery in it, made sure it was working before I took the time to do anything else to it. If you recall, this chain section with the embellishments, it was all one strand, which led me to believe it was a stretch bracelet to begin with. It was probably woven in and out of the chains to draw it up. But I didn't want to do this one in stretch. So what I did is I divided the chains in 3 equal parts. Most of the jewelry I make is either sterling silver or copper. So I did not have any gold or even gold tone jump rings to go with the toggle clasp that I chose to use on this piece. I did have this because of some other findings I got in different metals for toggle clasp. So I happened to have this, but I didn't have the jump rings to attach them. I did have some chain, some old chain that was too small and too thick. So what I did is I made my own jump rings for either end of the watch using a 20 gauge 14 karat gold filled wire. I put 2 new rings on either end. Like I said, divided these into 3 parts, attached the ends to the jump ring, which I attached to the watch face, and then on the other end I added a jump ring to the other the end of the 3 sections here, added my one end of the toggle, put another jump ring to keep it laying flat. Otherwise the jump ring would be, you know, jump ring is like this, and then you add the ring of the toggle clasp, and that would have been sitting up. So I had to add another jump ring. It's a smaller jump ring to that. Hit it with a couple of the bells. Put that end of the jump ring, this end of the toggle on the jump ring, and then we can just simply put the two together. And this is what we end up with. So there's the toggle. But see, it does hang a little low for me. If I decided to keep this and wear this for myself, I would probably take a couple of these links out in the bracelet itself. But anyway, that's how I decided to put this back together instead of the stretch. And for all intents and purposes, it is a working watch. So anyway, that's my little show and tell. Hope you all enjoyed this. We're still on the lookout for a jewelry jar. So hopefully we will find one of those soon. And when we do, I will share it with you guys. So until then, until the next video, y'all take care. Bye-bye.